Hello everyone, this is Dr. Sneha Sagar from Department of Pharmaceutical Chemistry, LG Institute of Pharmacy. I welcome you all in this e-lecture series initiated by LG Institute of Pharmacy. So in my previous session of semester 3, we have discussed about general information on carbohydrates like classification of carbohydrates, biological importance of carbohydrates and stereochemistry of carbohydrates. So in today's session, we are going to discuss about some chemical reactions of carbohydrates and which is important for your examination point of view. So let us start with our today's session on reactions of carbohydrates. So first of all, we will start with some terminologies and various structures of glucose. So for better understanding of glucose structure, let us consider the formation of hemiacetals and hemiketals respectively when an aldehyde or ketone reacts with alcohol. So when aldehyde of our glucose or ketone group our glucose reacts with alcohol, they forms hemiacetal as well as the hemiketals. So here in this case, when hydroxy group of monosaccharides reacts with its own aldehyde or ketone functional groups, then they forms the hemiacetal and the hemiketals. So this is the formation of hemiacetal. Like in this case, carbon number 1 of glucose reacts with the alcohol group of carbon number 5 and they forms two different types of cyclic hemiacetals like I have mentioned here alpha hemiacetal as well as the beta hemiacetal. So the previous so in this slide the structure of hemiacetals are presented in Fischer's projection. So this is the presentation of glucose in Fischer's projection, and we have further the Haworth projection of structures. So in that case, for Haworth projection, the glucose or is represented as the pyran structure or as furan structure. So this is the pyran ring and this is the furan ring. So when this glucose is represented using this pyran or furan ring, it is presented like this. So this is termed as alpha D glucopyranose. This is the hemiacetal of glucose and it is represented here as alpha D glucofuranose, which is again the hemiacetal of the glucose. So in this case, the six-membered projection. So here this is the carbon number 1 of glucose, carbon number 2, 3, 4, 5 and lastly the primary alcohol which is the carbon number 6. In this case, in furanose case, here is this is the carbon number 1 of glucose, carbon number 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So this is the representation of pyranose and furanose formation of glucose and this is termed as the Haworth projection. Next we have the Haworth projections and in that we can get the idea of alpha and beta configuration of this hemiacetals. So in this case, uh, see the structure of D-glucose. Here the structure of D-glucose and here this is the structure of its hemiacetals like alpha D glucopyranose and beta D glucopyranose. So it is termed as alpha when this hydroxy group is on the opposite side of this primary alcohol group. So here, see here at the carbon number 5, the CH2OH group is on the upper side, whereas in this case, the hydroxy group is on the lower side. So this is called alpha isomer of D-glucopyranose. Whereas in case of beta D-glucopyranose, see here, this hydroxy group is on the same side as that of the CH2 group. So this is the beta projection of the D-glucopyranose. So next we have the terminology which is important, anomers. So the alpha and beta cyclic forms of D-glucose are known as the anomers. So they differ from each other in the configuration only around carbon number 1, which is known as the anomeric carbon. In case of hemiacetal carbon, right? So in case of alpha anomer, the hydroxy group held by anomeric carbon is on the opposite side of the CH2OH of the sugar ring. And this reverse is true for the beta anomer. And the anomers differ in their physical as well as in the chemical properties. Next, we have another important terminology, mutarotation. So, when alpha and beta anomers of glucose have different optical rotations, the specific optical rotation of a freshly prepared glucose of alpha anomer solution in water is 112.2 degree, which gradually changes and attains the equilibrium with a value of like 52.7 degrees in presence of alkali. So this in this case the optical rotation uh, so in this case the mutarotation is defined as the change in the specific optical rotation of representing the interconversion of alpha and in alpha into the beta forms of D-glucose to attain the equilibrium mixture. So in this case, to attain the equilibrium mixture of alpha and beta, this term is mutarotation. Uh, so next we have example of mutarotation of fructose. So in this case also the alpha D fructopyranose, it interconverts into beta D fructopyranose, and the specific rotation is approximately minus 92 degrees. Next, the important topic is reactions of monosaccharides. So in that first we have tautomerization or enolization. So in this case, tautomerization or enolization, the process of shifting hydrogen atom from one carbon atom to another and it produces enediols is known as tautomerization. So see the reaction here. When the glucose is kept in alkali solution for several hours, it undergoes isomerization to form the D-fructose and D-mannose. And this reaction is known as enediol formation, and this is also important reactions in case of your chemical properties of carbohydrates. So next we have the reducing properties of carbohydrates. So sugars are classified as reducing or non-reducing based on its property. So the reducing property is attributed to the free aldehyde or keto group of the anomeric carbon. So in the laboratory, many tests are employed to identify the reducing action of sugars. Like they use Benedict test, they use Falling's test, and as well as the Barfoed test. So all these reactions are used uh, for determining the reducing properties of the sugars. So the reduction is much more efficient in the alkali medium than in the acid medium. So in this case, if we explain the Barfoed's test and enediol formation, so in that case, the sugar reduced the cupric ions, Cu2 plus ions of copper sulfate into the cuprous ions, Cu plus. So which forms a yellow precipitate of cuprous hydroxide or a red precipitate of cuprous oxide. So this is the important reducing property of the uh, sugars. So it may be noted that reducing properties of sugar cannot help for specific identification of any one sugar. It is general for the reducing and non-reducing sugars. Next we have oxidization. So depending on the oxidizing agents used, the terminal aldehyde or ketone or the terminal alcohol, both the groups may be oxidized. aldehyde or ketone group as well as the primary alcohol group. Both can oxidize by using the specific oxidizing agents. So oxidation of aldehyde group, CHO group, results in the formation of COOH group. So glucose converts into gluconic acid if aldehyde group is oxidized. And when the terminal alcohol group, CH2OH group, it oxidizes, then we get COOH group. So this leads the production of the glucuronic acid. One is gluconic acid and another is glucuronic acid. Next, okay, based on the oxidized products, we have like glucose to glucosaccharic acid, mannose to manneric acid, galactose to mucic acid. This is about the oxidation. Then we have reduction. So when we treat sugar with any reducing agent such as sodium amalgam, the aldehyde or keto group of monosaccharide is reduced to its corresponding alcohol. And this is given in this pictorial formation like reduction of aldehyde into its corresponding alcohol. So if we reduce D-glucose, then we get the D-sorbitol. D-galactose converts into D-dulcitol. D-mannose converts into D-mannitol. D-fructose into D-mannitol plus D-sorbitol. And lastly, D-ribose converts into the D-ribitol. So this is about the reduction properties of the sugars. Next important reaction is dehydration reaction or furfural formation. So when the sugar is treated with concentrated sulfuric acid, the monosaccharides undergo the dehydration with an elimination of three water molecules. So six-membered sugars like hexoses gives basically, they give the hydroxymethyl furfural. Here is the structure of hydroxymethyl furfural. While pentoses, five-member sugars, gives furfural on the dehydration. So D-ribose gives the furfural. So these furfurals can condense with phenolic compounds like alpha-naphthol and it can produce the color compounds. And this is the basic principle of the Molish test. You must be knowing the Molish test. So in this case, the oligo and polysaccharides, they cannot hydrolyze to monosaccharides and they cannot form the dehydration product. So this is specifically for monosaccharides. Next we have usazone formation. So in case of usazone formation, when phenylhydrazine in acetic acid is boiled with reducing sugars, they form the usazones. So usazones in that the first two carbons, carbon number 1 and carbon number 2 are involved in usazone formations. So these sugars that differ in their configuration on these two carbons give the same type of usazone because the difference is masked by binding with the phenylhydrazine. Thus, glucose, fructose and mannose give the same type needle-shaped usazones. So here is the images of the glucose, fructose and mannose. They have the same type of usazones, mostly the needle shaped. Here it is given glucosazone needle shaped usazone, whereas the maltose gives the sunflower shaped. Here maltose give the sunflower shaped usazone and lactose give, this is powder puff type of the usazone. So this is about the usazone formation. Next we have formation of esters. So the alcohol groups of monosaccharides, they may be esterified by non-enzymatic or enzymatic reactions. So esterification of carbohydrate with phosphoric acid is a common reaction in metabolism. So in that case, glucose 6 phosphate and glucose 1 phosphate are the good example of the metabolisms in which ATP donates the phosphate moiety in the ester formation. So next we have the glycosides. So in that glycosides are formed when this hemiacetal or hemiketal uh, hydroxyl group of a carboxylate reacts with a hydroxyl group of another carbohydrate or a non-carbohydrate like methyl alcohol, phenol, or glycerol. So the bond formed is known as the glycosidic bond and the non-carbohydrate moiety is known as the aglycon. So here in this case, the monosaccharides are held together by glycosidic bonds, which results in the di, oligo, or polysaccharides. So here, this is about the physiological importance of uh, glycosides. Like we have glucovanillin. So that is vanillin D glucoside, which is natural substance, and it imparts the vanilla flavor. And we have cardiac glycosides like steroidal glycoside, digoxin and digitoxin. They contain the A-glycon steroid and they stimulate the muscle contraction. And we have streptomycin, which is an antibiotic used in the treatment of tuberculosis, which is also a glycoside. Then we have obein. They inhibit the Na plus and K plus ATPase and they blocks the active transport of Na plus. So this is about the physiological importance of the glycosides. So this is all about today's session. We have discussed some structures of glucose. Then we have discussed chemical reactions of our monosaccharides. So in the FAQs, it can be asked like what are carbohydrates, give classification of carbohydrates with examples and describe in brief chemical reactions of monosaccharides. Also, it can be asked like define following terms, mutarotation, apimers and anomers. So this is the bibliography of this session. You can refer these books for further information. So this is all about today's session. Thank you very much. Please do subscribe our YouTube channel Pharma Ignite. Thank